I'm at the gym, so obviously the sound quality is going to be fairly poor, but I just wanted to acknowledge how proud I am of myself for enforcing boundaries and not letting people gaslight me anymore. I am visiting family in a very short amount of time, and those family tend to be fairly emotionally immature. So I texted setting some boundaries beforehand, and I was basically like, if all of this sounds good to you, then I will see you then. Basically being like, look, these are the terms and conditions. I'm a grown-ass woman. I do not have to stay there if I don't want to. I can switch my flight and go home if you're going to be disrespectful. And one of the boundaries I set, the person straight up gaslit me, and I was like, I'll tell you what it was. It's kind of funny. I said another boundary I want to set is I do not want to be forcibly kissed. I do not want you to put your mouth on me the way that you have in the past. I have a lot of physical trauma that's happened to me, and as a grown woman in my late 20s, I deserve to have autonomy over my own body and not be forced to physically do things that I don't want to do just to make the other person feel good. And their response was, okay, I can do all that, but as far as that goes, I never did that, so you don't have to worry about that. In the past, I think I would just sit there and be like, okay, and like knowing that they did, but I think now it's important for me and my nervous system and healing and regulating to literally say, no, that's not actually true. You actually did do that. And that's exactly what I said. I said, no, I remember distinctly you doing that with an exclamation point and a smiley face, like, I remember, girlfriend. And I said, I actually remember a lot of times you doing that. And then she was still combative and was like, no, that didn't happen. I was like, yeah, no, I know it did. I know it did. But yeah, we left on the note of talking about flights and stuff like that. But yeah, in the past, I've just been like, ignore it, whatever. But I've learned that to heal my nervous system and regulate my brain, when someone tries to tell me that something didn't happen, that happened, part of my healing journey is correcting them and actually speaking up for myself and standing up for myself and respecting my brain and my body enough to say, no, I remember that distinctly. And I know like the comments might be like, why don't you just go no contact? Sometimes people can't go no contact for multiple reasons. This is kind of one of those situations. But in those relationships, you have to have those boundaries, because if you don't, the emotionally immature people will consciously ignore the things that they have done or refuse to admit that they have done them, even though they might remember them vaguely, because admitting to themselves that they did that and that they made a mistake and that could have potentially caused harm to someone else hurts their ego, hurts their pride, and that feeling is so scary to them. Shame is the lowest energetic feeling that we can feel. In order to not feel that way, they will lie. Or sometimes it was just a Tuesday for them and they're a toxic person and they just assume that these things are gonna just be allowed forever, and they're not, and they shouldn't have been allowed back then if, you know, the person wasn't consenting. So I just want to say I'm really proud of myself. In the past, it was ignore and just move forward, but that hurt me and that made me feel like I was abandoning myself. So now I'm doing this thing where I stand up for myself more and I set those boundaries and I don't let people gaslight me. You cannot gaslight me, girl. I was there. I lived through